are we doing here?
There you go. All right. Well, I guess the consensus here is to go over the top 10, I guess. Is that right, everyone? And just kind of move our way through the rest.
Whatever.
Whatever you guys want to do, like top 10. You want to just do top 10, yeah?
Are we doing a consensus or are we all making our selections?
We go make our own selections on who you think top 10 was going to be. This is going to be the craziest part of the draft anyways.
Works for me.
All right. That's cool. All right. Let's do the Browns. They're on the clock. I'll roll it around. So, Bill, who do you have?
Well, if it was me, I would take Josh Allen, but I think they're going to take Sam Darnold. So, Sam Darnold.
Hang on. I'll make your case for Josh Allen real quick.
I just think he's the most pro-ready guy. He played in a pro-style system. He's accurate. Yeah, he doesn't fumble like once a game like Darnold does. And he might not have the highest ceiling of all of them, but I think he's got the highest floor. So, but Cleveland's missed so many times. They just need a guy that can play, and Rosen can play. So
in your mock draft, you have Josh Allen.
Yeah.
This is your own personal one. So number one, you got Josh Allen.
I'm sorry. I meant Josh Rosen. Josh Rosen.
Josh Rosen.
UCLA.
Right, I was about to say, Will, I was about to call you out on a lot of that related
to I told you I didn't know shit, man. I told you I didn't know.
Once I heard accuracy and Josh Allen in the same sentence.
I know.
Rosen.
I'm like, we're watching different film.
All right, so you have Rosen, number one overall.
That's right.
To the Browns.
I know that's who I would take. Who I think they will take is Sam Darnold.
All right. So go ahead, Vince. I want you to roll next. Browns are on the clock. Who's your pick? All right, we'll skip him and go to Al. Go ahead, Al.
I'm going Sam Darnold here. I think Sam Darnold's the best quarterback in this draft. I think it's close with Baker. It's close with Baker Mayfield. But Sam Darnold's accurate. He's won in that USC system there. And he's really been the player from all accounts that teams have walked away very impressed with. He stepped into USC with a lot of expectations. And he won at USC, and I think he's just going to be that next USC quarterback that's going to get drafted at the top of the draft. So I think he goes number one. I think Rosen falls down a little bit for me out of this number one pick just because of injury concerns.
Okay, Vince, are you there? I think he's muted because
I am sorry.
This is not work. This is not work, Vince.
No, I know it's getting my house in order is quite a thing here tonight. So,
would you move?
I am. So, if I'll do the kind of similar theme. If I were the GM, my number one quarterback. First of all, I think we need to address the elephant in the room of, would you take Barkley? Sorry, I'm relocating. I'm talking and walking here. Sorry. All right. Sorry. So, I think you have to go quarterback here. I think that is, you're hearing some Barkley still, but at the end of the day, Cleveland's been trying to fix this quarterback situation for over a decade. So they actually kind of 3 decades. Really, Bernie Kosar was the last true franchise quarterback they had. So I don't want to hear anything else besides quarterback at 1 for Cleveland. You got to trust your evaluation and pick the best quarterback. So for me personally, I think the best quarterback in this draft is Baker Mayfield. I think if he were 6'3", I don't even think it'd be an argument that he would be the number 1 pick in this draft. I think the only reason he's not is because, the traditional scouts are still looking at a 6'1.5" quarterback and saying he's not a prototypical NFL quarterback. In today's NFL, with the schemes that are run, the way there's more movement out of the pocket, You know, you don't have to be a statue in the pocket anymore to succeed. I think he's fine for today's NFL. He would be my number one pick all day. He is a much better pocket passer than people give him credit for. He's, I would say, the most accurate quarterback in this draft. You might be able to argue Josh Rosen, but I would put Baker up there. And bottom line is the kid just has something. He has that it factor that I would love to make the face of my franchise. But with all that said, the Browns, if I'm forecasting who they will take, it's probably going to be Darnold. It seems like the tea leaves have moved from Josh Allen to Darnold over the last few days. So I think ultimately they're just not in the position to take a risk on a guy like Josh Allen. They have to go Darnold.
Wow.
But Baker's my guy.
Yeah, I mean, Baker's the guy that I would want for us if we were going to take a quarterback. He's so accurate, and everybody says that his feet are a disaster. So as soon as he gets his mechanics straightened out, he's going to be even more accurate.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. I'll agree with the consensus. I think they'll take Sam Darnold, which is a bust. But if I were them and sitting in their position, I think I would take Baker Mayfield as well. I agree with everything you guys said. I would take Baker Mayfield number one. All right. Let's move to the Giants just for a second. What's kind of hitting some of these teams? Did they trade out or take a player? I guess that'd be the question.
The Giants are picking here.
All right, so we got Al taking the Giants. All right, who are they picking? Who's the player they take? This is really going to set the draft.
This is a tough one. I don't think they're taking a quarterback here, only because I think Eli probably, if you put some pieces around Eli, he's got another year or two left in him. So I don't think they're taking it. I don't think for that reason they're going to take a quarterback in the first round. So for me, I went with Saquon Barkley, but it was tough because if it's me and I was the GM, I would have taken Bradley Chubb here to replace Jason Pierre-Paul. He gets you some pass rush. And quite frankly, you could get a running back later in the draft, and there are free agent running backs out there if you want to try to find a running back, and there are some that'll be out there post the draft as well. But I think they're going Saquon Barkley. They're following the hype train here. I think he just brings some excitement back to New York. Brings another star, especially if they end up having to part ways with Odell Beckham, depending upon how that story shakes out. Which I don't think they will part ways with Odell Beckham, but it just brings another star, a star there to that offense. So I'm going Saquon Barkley.
All right, Bill, you taking Chubb, Barkley? You taking the quarterback?
In reality, I think that the Giants will trade out of that spot. I think that the Buffalo Bills or somebody that's in need of a quarterback will come up in front of the Jets to get whomever it is that they think is the apple of their eye. So that's what I think will happen in reality. If I'm staying there, it's tough not to take a quarterback at that spot, especially if the Browns don't take the guy they like the best. Because, Eli is 37 and – he can still. He is what Eli is. He's the same as Flacco. Like he's just, he is what you get. And it's hard to be at the number 2 spot and have 3 or 4 quarterbacks to choose from and not take one of them. But if it was me, I would take Barkley, number 2. But in reality, I don't know. I think they might take a quarterback. I don't know who their guy is. If we're saying that Darnold went first, I would take Rosen second. So, but yeah, I think they trade the pick. But if I had to pick, I'd say Rosen.
All right, Vince, what you got? Chubb, Barkley, quarterback, trade.
So I'll start again with what I would do as GM, but I mean, to me, the number 2 pick is too valuable for a running back. I don't care that it's Saquon Barkley. You have an aging franchise quarterback that maybe has 2 more years left. I think it's been, I can't remember, probably been 10 years since the Giants have drafted in the top 5, maybe another 10 years before they draft in the top 5 again, because, they're a pretty decently run organization. I'm taking the franchise quarterback. So again, I mean, on my board now, I would be taking Sam Darnold. But that's what I would do. But in terms of what they're going to do, looks like it's going to be Barkley. I think they're trying to coddle up one last run for Eli, and bottom line is he is the guy that can have the biggest impact on their ability to turn things around and make one more run.
Yep.
Okay. I'll take the opposite of everybody else. I'm going to go Chubb. They built their that team on defense. They like their defensive ends. They like getting after the quarterback. I think they actually go Chubb. I don't really see them going with a running back or a quarterback here. I've heard it's a pretty rich price you got to pay to get to 2. So I think they stay, and I think it's Chubb. That's what I've been hearing around the rumors. Jets. Everyone's going to say quarterback, so I'm guessing the consensus, if he's there, Baker Mayfield. Am I right?
I mean, everything that I've heard for the Jets is that they are in love with Josh Rosen, and if he's there when they pick at 3, they're taking him.
Vince? Yep.
So yeah, I mean it's quarterback either way. They're guaranteed to take quarterback. If I were them, I would take quarterback. It's a no-brainer. So, I mean, Baker Mayfield. I've heard as much Baker Mayfield as Josh Rosen talk to the Jets. It's interesting. I don't know. I mean, I have him taking Mayfield, but it's one of those two. I think I keep hearing that Josh Rosen's the one that may slip. So
I hear that too. That's why I think it's Mayfield at 30, if he's there. Bill?
Yeah, I don't know. One more thing on the Giants. The Giants just took Davis Webb in the 3rd round last year, quarterback. So I don't, that's not necessarily going to preclude them from taking one at the top. But you take a guy in the 3rd round, you obviously think he's going to be all right.
That's a hell of a point, Bill. I just want to throw out because he was my sleeper quarterback last year.
Yeah,
so
I liked him last year also. So as far as the Jets, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how you like reading rumors this time of year is fucking pointless. So I just think I think Mayfield is great for the Jets. He's like a strong presence in the locker room, strong media guy. I feel like Baker Mayfield is tailor-made for the New York scene. So he's my favorite quarterback. He's the guy in my dream chest. I have a picture of Baker Mayfield and he makes it to 16. But
wow.
Yeah, if I was the Jets, I would take Mayfield and not think twice.
All right. Well, obviously the 4th pick here is the Browns again. So I guess I'll go first on this one. I think they're going to trade out of it, but if they do stay, Chubb or Barkley, I think is the obvious picks, but I think they're going to trade up with the Bills. This is where the Bills jump in. I think it's Josh Allen, number 4 for the Bills. I'm not a big Josh Allen fan. He needs a lot of footwork, like you said before. He needs some help, but my feeling is they're going to trade up for Josh Allen because they think they can turn him into a Big Ben type of quarterback. But I'll go ahead. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. There is no reason to believe that Josh Allen is the next Ben Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger's completion percentage at Miami of Ohio was like 68% or something, and Josh Allen is terrible. He's got terrible mechanics. He throws into places that he has no business trying to throw it into because his arm is like Kyle Bowler. He can throw it into a trash can from 100 miles away. He's just, Josh Allen is, in my opinion, he's the biggest bust in this draft, hands down, in my opinion. So, I wouldn't take Josh Allen at 16. I wouldn't take Josh Allen at 32. So I definitely wouldn't take him at 4.
I'm saying that's the Bills will come up, so I'm saying. But go ahead.
I do agree that the Cleveland Browns are going to try to look to trade out. I don't know that they're going to be successful at that spot, especially if the top three quarterbacks, if Darnold, Rosen, and Mayfield are gone in the top three, I think they're going to have a lot harder time trading out than anything else. And if somebody moves up, it's going to be for Barkley, not for another quarterback.
Chubb?
So I think, I mean, I don't know who we're saying they've taken so far. I don't know if we've got some kind of consensus going, but if the top three quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, I think Barkley goes at 4 to the Browns.
But I'm just saying, Chubb could be there, so you don't think someone would trade up for Chubb?
Well, what's our consensus board? Aren't we doing a mock draft?
We're supposed to do our own individual ones of what you think and then what you had. So I wasn't really keeping them. I have one in my head kind of, so it's kind of like Donald right now, because I think me and Al had both agreements on him. The Giants, I think we all kind of agreed on Barkley.
Yep.
Off the board, and then Baker Mayfield, I think was the Jets kind of consensus pick.
Gotcha.
So that's why I said the Bills probably would jump up here for Allen at 4.
So,
go ahead, Al.
So we're on Cleveland at 4.
We're on Cleveland at 4, right? I had the Bills jumping up here, getting Allen. I think
Cleveland's staying put here. I think with the new regime in Cleveland, with the analytics out of it, I think Cleveland's going to get it right at the top of this draft. I mean, Darnold may not end up being the guy, but he's from the big school in that first pick, so they're going to kind of be forced to take him. I don't think they can afford a Baker Mayfield if that turns into another Johnny Manziel type of situation. But here they're gonna stay put. So they went offense already. They're gonna stay put. They've got 12 picks in this draft. They don't need to trade back like everybody else. You'd have to blow Cleveland away to get this pick from them, and they take Bradley Chubb. So now you've got Myles Garrett on one side and Bradley Chubb on the other side. That gives you a little bit of what you need, some pass rush against Andy Dalton, Joe Flacco, against Ben Roethlisberger. They need that on defense to be competitive, especially knowing they're gonna send the rookie quarterback probably out there to play this year at some point, or they're gonna send a second-year quarterback out there once Tyrod's done at the end of 2018. So, and Tyrod's not gonna light it up anyway. So Chubb's the pick here.
Okay, Vince.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it looks like the way I have the draft going or the board going. And I mean, if it's all three quarterbacks, then I think they take Barkley. But the Giants take Barkley, then I could see Chubb being the pick. I mean, I think he makes the most sense there for them. I kind of feel like the trade backs might not even happen. I mean, when you look at who's trying to move up, Denver's already said they're not really taking a quarterback. I mean, Elway's already mentioned that they want to keep going with Paxton Lynch, maybe, and I don't know if that's just smokescreen, but I can really see Denver not taking a quarterback. And then who else from 6 to 12 besides Miami is really in the quarterback market? So
nobody.
I don't know. I think I agree they're gonna have to blow Cleveland away. I agree with Al. I think they're gonna end up making this pick, and it'll probably be Chubb.
Okay. All right. This is on Denver then at 5, right? So what do you think? They're kind of a tough call. I think Quentin Nelson comes up a lot. The offensive guard, kind of going here at 5 to them, but who thinks they trade out? Because, I mean, there's still a quarterback on the board, I believe. Rosen could possibly still be here. Josh Allen could kind of still be there if they want to take a quarterback, but I could see them trading back a few picks and seeing if someone wants to come up to maybe get Quentin Nelson, or maybe kind of thinking maybe Tremaine Edmonds or Smith, the linebacker. But if they have to end up staying, I think they take Quentin Nelson, guard. What do you guys think?
See, for me, I still have Baker Mayfield on my board here, so I know they've got draft capital and Paxton Lynch and some of these guys, and that's kind of the hard piece. I think Quentin Nelson is probably going to be the pick, and he's probably the right pick. I just don't think Paxton Lynch is going to be good, and because Baker Mayfield was on the board, that's who I would have picked. But Quentin Nelson's probably going to be the pick here.
Okay. All right, Vince.
Yeah, I mean, what I would do if I were Elway, I would take one of these quarterbacks if they were still there, except for Josh Allen. I would if Darnold, he won't be there, but if Rosen or Mayfield are there, I don't see how Paxton Lynch obviously isn't the guy. I mean, I don't know why he's trying to force it. I mean, he should. Sometimes you just have to cut your losses and move on, and not once you know these guys are not the real deal. But by all counts, they're not going to take a quarterback. So unless they're fooling everybody, which is weird, they should be putting out smokescreen about the quarterback so they would get people to trade up. But
yeah,
maybe that's why.
Yeah, maybe
Josh Allen.
But no, I think if Quentin Nelson's on the board, he's the pick.
So Quentin Nelson or Josh Allen, who would you take?
Quentin Nelson.
Yeah.
I'm taking your John Elway.
I would take a loaf of bread over Josh Allen.
I mean, I'm okay with Allen even if you want to start talking about out of the top 10, just because of some of the traits. But top 10 is insane for him.
He's going number one in some mock drafts, by the way.
I know.
There are some he's number one. He's going to be top 10.
I mean, if you have not learned in the last 40 years that like a strong-armed quarterback that's not accurate, that can't make read a defense but one side of the field, if you haven't learned that guy can't succeed at the NFL, you are not paying attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, but someone's going to take him. Somebody in the top 5 is going to take Josh Allen. So we're not worried about it.
I don't know. I said this when they picked Kyle Bowler. I've been saying it a long time. Like the guy that can throw it through a brick wall but can't hit his receiver in stride cannot play in the NFL. Period.
The team that would potentially take Josh Allen in the top 5 is Cleveland, and because of everything that we're saying about him, I think Cleveland just has different people in that front office now, and they're not going to screw this pickup. They're taking Josh Rosen or they're taking Sam Darnold, one of those two that they feel like this guy's accurate. He can get the ball to a wide receiver. You can't teach accuracy, so I wouldn't take a guy that's inaccurate, that to me just flat out wasn't that good in college. I mean, just because he's got the traits. He's 6'3", 6'4", whatever he is. He can throw the ball far, and he did all of these great things. I mean, he didn't do them against defenses in college football. Sam Darnold did. Josh Rosen did. Baker Mayfield did.
All right, so we can take a second there. How about the Colts coming up here at number 6? Obviously, that's a trade position. Someone's going to trade up. So that's another Josh Allen spot for another team like Miami, the Bills, or even the Cardinals might trade up for it. So who do you got if you're the Colts sitting there at 6? Are you trading or are you staying? And who are you going to pick?
See, for me, because I had Denver going Baker Mayfield because he was still there, here's where I had Quentin Nelson going, was to the Colts. I see in some of the other mocks, some people have the Colts taking Roquan Smith to try to help that defense too.
Yeah, I had Tremaine Edmonds here on my original for the Colts. I agree. I think they may go defense. I think they like Darwin James. I think they like Smith a lot, but Edmonds is a 6'5" linebacker, man. That guy can just crush you. So that's a good way to get that defense moving. Vince? 6?
Yeah, I mean, if Quentin Nelson's on the board, I think that's an easy pick. I mean, if not, if I'm the Colts, honestly, I wouldn't mind another trade back. I mean, they have the worst roster in football, and it's not even close. they need as many picks as they can get their hands on. I mean, there is, no doubt about that. So if they can get any type of deal from Buffalo, who knows they might have to leapfrog Miami, or if Arizona makes a bold move, I would take it.
This a landing spot for Josh Allen? If you guys got Rosen, I mean, Allen and Rosen, if they're dropping on your boards this far, this has got to be another spot for them.
Yeah, I mean, somebody's going to panic, right, for that last one. So, I mean, if I'm the Colts, my roster's just too bad to not trade back. But if I'm picking, if Quentin Nelson's there, I'm taking him. If not,
if Chubb's there,
like Denzel Ward for them.
All right, if Chubb's there, Chubb could drop down to 6. I've seen it in a couple of mocks.
Yeah, if Chubb is there, I mean, obviously, but
okay, no wide receiver here. No wide receiver side on your board. DJ Moore.
No.
Okay. You know, people do crazy stuff.
They do, but they gotta protect Andrew Luck. Like they gotta take a lineman here.
I mean, I like your thought around the receivers going early because something smells up to me. I mean, these receivers end up getting pushed up the board. I just remember last year nobody had Corey Davis or
Mike Williams
or John Ross certainly going where he went. So, for whatever reason, people push up receivers. But teams do.
DJ Moore could be a candidate right there at 6 for the Colts.
I mean, that's a little crazy, but yeah, I mean, I like your thought.
I'm just saying, I've seen a couple of mocks where they're starting to push those receivers in there. You know how it goes the last few days. All this craziness happens, everyone starts to panic. So
I think that they're going to want to get out of there, especially if Quentin Nelson's gone. I mean, I could see them staying for Quentin Nelson, but if he's not gone and Chubb's not available, they should move out as quick as they can.
Okay. All right.
Any of these guys would be, you're talking Roquan, Edmonds. They're all one of them might be there at 12 or wherever.
Okay. Well, how about number 7? We have Tampa Bay. So I'll let Bill start that one off. Are you staying? Are you going to trade out? If you stay, who do you think there is going to be available?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to depend on who goes in front of them. Obviously, their trade possibilities are going to be dictated by whether or not all those quarterbacks have gone to the top. If Rosen is still there or if Allen is still there, I think somebody, either the Bills or Miami or somebody's going to jump up to try to get them in front of somebody else. But if Tampa Bay is staying there, I think it's going to be defense. I think it's probably going to be DB, and it's just going to be sort of pick your pleasure of the top guys. If it was me, I would take Derwin James. But Mika Fitzpatrick's a possibility. Denzel Ward is a possibility. But if I'm staying there and picking, I take Derwin James at that spot.
Okay, Al, what are you doing with Tampa?
I'm at Derwin James here. I think they need help in the secondary. And I think Derwin James is the best of the group. Minka Fitzpatrick is good. Denzel Ward is a great corner. But I think Derwin James is the pick here.
All right, Vince. Tampa Bay, you trading or are you staying there?
I don't see a realistic trade scenario. I mean, maybe with them, but I don't know. Well, I think they can just make a pick here. And I think it is between the two secondary guys. I like Fitzpatrick personally. A little bit. I think he's getting underrated as a potential corner. I think he could play corner in this league. I mean, I'm not saying he's Jalen Ramsey, but, people were saying those things about Jalen Ramsey coming out, and he made a very easy transition to corner. So, not saying he's, again, Jalen Ramsey, but I just like his leadership. They're both great players. I'm splitting hairs, but I think they got to go with one of those two. They need to reshape their defense. One of these guys would be their leaders and playmakers. So pick whichever one they like. I'm partial to Minkah though.
All right. I guess if I'm Tampa, I think they're looking for a trade. But if you're going to stay there, boy, I could see maybe a linebacker with Smith or Edmonds maybe on that defense to help them out a little bit. But I'll give you kind of a crazy pick, and I'm fine with it. Jameer Alexander, defensive back. For some reason, I got a weird feeling he might get pushed up to 7. I don't know why, but I got a weird feeling he might get pushed up there. A lot of talk about him in the last few weeks. So don't be surprised to see a strange name kind of pop in there for 7.
There'll be
He's
some head
underrated, but I don't know about 7.
I'm just saying, you know these guys get sometimes. They get a little crazy when they're in this range, and I've seen strange things happen, man. I don't know. That guy could pop right in there at 7. That's just a strange thing.
It's Rob's favorite thing is the balls out there. That's Rob's favorite thing.
I do like to throw him out there.
That's always Rob's thing.
Yeah, you have to throw him out there, man. You got to have a little fun with this. Strange things happen in a draft every year.
UMBC's going all the way in the tournament, boys.
Well, we all thought that after the first game.
Or absolutely no one thought that.
Yeah. Chicago Bears are sitting there. I think everyone's on the consensus is going to be a linebacker, but who would be a surprise pick for the Bears? How about that? Let's do a surprise pick. Who would be there that they would take if it's not a linebacker? I'll go Vince first.
If it's not a linebacker, I mean,
Edmonds and Smith, let's just say, are gone.
Unless Quentin Nelson was there, I mean that'd be easy. But
do you have a surprise pick? Like who would surprise you with? I guess that'd be my question. Is there anyone you think outside the box they would take?
Denzel Ward.
Okay.
I mean, I think they could. They don't necessarily need a corner, but
No Fitzpatrick?
I could see them stacking on corners. It's the new thing to do. So, I mean, I think they go Tremaine Edmonds by all accounts. But
Right. I agree. I think the consensus is linebacker. But if a linebacker wasn't there, who do you think they would take? Al? You got any surprise pick for the Bears?
Marcus Davenport, the defensive end from
There you go.
University of Texas, San Antonio. That'd be my surprise pick, but I'm with you all. I think they're going Tremaine Edmonds here.
Okay.
He can play inside and outside.
I think that the Bears are one of the teams that's a possibility to trade up, make a small trade up with like Indianapolis or Denver or maybe even Cleveland. Because the Bears hired Notre Dame's O-line coach, and I think that he would love to get Nelson to start his O-line. So I think there's a distinct possibility that they make a small move up to make sure that they get Nelson. If that doesn't happen, I agree with everybody else that the linebackers are the possibility, either Edmonds or Smith. Only
reason why I don't think the Bears trade up is because they traded up to get Trubisky last year, so I can't see them trading up again.
Actually, hold on. I want to change my surprise pick to Calvin Ridley.
Oh, wow. All right.
I think it could be Calvin Ridley.
I knew you were going to say that was my surprise pick.
How did you go? I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
No, no, it's fine. You can go ahead. I guess we can just add on to each other's pick here, but I thought maybe wide receiver give Trubisky another weapon. I know they got Allen Robinson, but adding another guy to the other side, an extra wide receiver for him, will absolutely help them out. I could see Quentin Nelson, linebacker, yes, but if a surprise pick, they might take wide receiver here.
That's a good call.
Yeah, for sure. Good call there.
No, go ahead, Vince. You said you wanted to change yours, but you can go ahead.
No, I think Ridley makes a lot of sense, and I just get this feeling that receiver is going to get pushed up somehow, and I think it's all. I don't know. I just see it happening. I don't see a lot of top end talent in this draft. I mean, you're talking about off the ball linebackers that you're picking in the top 10. Eventually, a reach for receivers does not sound that crazy, especially with recent years. But
Right.
We'll see. I mean, it's so interesting where Calvin Ridley. I mean, it seems like everyone's souring on him, but I don't know if that's it. Doesn't make sense to me. So we'll see.
Well,
Interesting note: the Chicago Bears took Urlacher at number 8 overall. So
okay.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to kind of mix the 49ers and the Raiders together because they're kind of in the same boat. But both are kind of looking for linebackers, both looking for defensive players. So who would be a surprising pick for the 49ers or the Raiders for you? We'll start with the 49ers. So
Cortland Sutton, wide receiver with MU.
Say that again now?
I've got Cortland Sutton going to the 49ers.
Wow. That's a surprise pick. I've never seen him that high. Why is he going 9?
I mean, he was high on the draft boards before this whole process started. He performed well at the combine. I do think it's a smokescreen that he's getting pushed down. I mean, that he's getting pushed down in a lot of these mocks. I think he goes. I still think Cortland Sutton goes high, top 15 high. He's had great production, and especially if Ridley goes in the top 10. If Ridley goes in the top 10, I mean, you've got the 49ers going into the season with Pierre Garçon, who is it? Marquise Goodwin and Aldrick Robinson. Those are their 3 receivers. You gave what's his name, Jimmy G, all that money. You got to get him somebody better to throw to. I mean, Garçon's deep into his career at this point. He's still a solid wide receiver, but you could get a good young talent in this draft. He's big. He's that prototype that the NFL teams want now. I just think he could be the guy there.
Okay. You're adding a wide receiver. All right. Vince?
So surprise pick here. I'd have to go Marcus Davenport. I think maybe him as a movable chess piece for them. I think they have to go. I can go in a bunch of different directions, but I like Marcus Davenport for them. I think they need to improve the pass rush. They have some interior guys. I think they could even stand them up a little bit. So that would be, I guess, a surprise pick.
That's a pretty good surprise pick. Not a lot of people have that on a mock draft, so that's pretty good. Bill, any surprise picks for the 49ers or?
I mean, I don't know. I think, there is a distinct possibility that they take whomever the Bears don't take. If the Bears take Edmonds, I think that the 49ers take Smith and vice versa. But a surprise pick, I guess if we're talking about legit surprise, I'd take Mike McGlinchey there. Joe Staley and Trent Brown are, Staley just got the contract extension for the next 2 years. He's 34 in August. Trent Brown's coming off of a torn labrum, and he's got consistency problems. So, if they could put McGlinchey at right tackle for the next 2 years, and then once Staley rides off into the sunset, he could swap over to the left side to surprise.
That's a good call.
Nice. Okay. Well, I guess for me, I might say running back, maybe at 9, but I don't think they're going to do a running back at 9. So, surprise pick, maybe a DJ Moore. I think that could be a surprise pick, wide receiver, but this DJ Moore could end up going there. Again, another target for Jimmy G, like you said. That could be a pretty good pick. Maybe Vita Vita, maybe that guy ends up going there for their defense because they need linebackers desperately bad. So I'm pretty sure linebacker will be the pick, but if I had to make a surprise pick, maybe a DJ Moore, maybe a Calvin Riddle. You're right. All right, number 10, we got the Raiders, John Gruden. Who's Chucky going to take at 10? I'll throw it around the board. How about we go with Bill first?
I don't. I think if any of the linebackers are left, if either Edmonds or Smith are there, that's a possibility for them inside, or more likely a DB, whether it's Fitzpatrick or Derwin James that makes it to that spot. I think Denzel Ward is maybe a little less likely just because of his the measurables. But But yeah, either a linebacker or DB. That's fine.
You think Chucky's going to take a linebacker or DB?
That's right.
Come on. Give me something crazy there. Any crazy?
I'm not making a surprise pick at every spot.
All right. How about Al go? All right, Al. Who's Chucky going to pick there at number 10?
Roquan Smith. I think Roquan Smith is there at 10, and he's gonna pick him. I mean, he needs a linebacker that can make plays. I mean, and that's his guy. I mean, you need a linebacker that's going to be able to come out, make some plays. Roquan Smith is fast. He can get sideline to sideline. I mean, he can get into the backfield in between the tackles. So I think he's the guy.
Yeah, and don't discount. I mean, you're saying who's Chucky going to pick? Reggie McKenzie is an established, very strong GM. Chucky's not making that pick. Reggie McKenzie's making that pick.
Come on, man. You know Chucky's going to make that pick. All right, I'm going to skip ahead of Vince for a second, and I'm going to say if he made a surprise pick, I think it's Daron Payne, Alabama defensive tackle. He might that might be a Chucky kind of guy. Get after the quarterback, help that defensive line. Help out Derek Carr, get some pressure on the quarterback. So that's a Chucky kind of guy. So, Vince, what you got? Yeah, I saw that, though. Vince, what you got?
Yeah, I'm with Al. I think if Roquan Smith's there, he's the pick. Gruden needs a quarterback of this defense. I mean, they got some pieces there, but they need the guy in the middle to be the quarterback and bring it together. And I think he could be that guy. If he's off the board, I'm looking at Vita Vea as kind of the surprise pick or whatever. I mean, he's a freaking stud, and I think you put him in the middle and let those backers run now, and Khalil Mack can run wild because this guy's going to need a double team, and he doesn't come off the field at all. At least when he played for Washington, I think he could stand to play less snaps in the NFL and become an even more dominant player. I think people are sleeping on him. I think he's a personal top 10 player on my board for sure. So,
all right. Oh, well, that's our top 10. So let's just get to the meat of it. Let's get to the Ravens, man. All right. 16. Based on, I guess, some mock drafts, I'm just trying to. Who do you think realistically they should pick at 16 if they're going to be there? So give me your top 3 choices. So, or 2 if you want. Al, you want to go first?
Yeah. I agree with Vince on the fact that I do think based on what we saw last year, some of these receivers are going to get pushed up the board because teams want playmakers on the offensive side of the football. I'd like for DJ Moore to be there. I'd like for Calvin Ridley to be there. It could be a stretch for both of those guys to be there. I do think one's going to be there. I think DJ Moore is going to be there, simply based on I think DJ Moore is really one big year of production, and that's why I think Ridley gets pushed up the board, and I think Cortland Sutton gets pushed up the board. So I'd go DJ Moore if he's there for the Ravens. After that, I don't want a tight end in the first round. So I don't know. I mean, maybe Mike McGlinchey, the tackle from Notre Dame. I mean, maybe he's my second pick. He helps to solidify the offensive line because I like Frank Ragnow in the second round. The center from Arkansas, but I've seen him in the first round of some mocks recently too.
What if there's a linebacker there? You have Rashad Evans and the Lee Vander Esch, I think his name is. So you have one of those choices. You going to take one of the linebackers or no?
That kid from Boise State, no way. I mean, there's red flags all over his medicals now. I mean, they're saying some teams have taken him off the board altogether.
Okay. What about Evans, linebacker out of Alabama?
No. I I don't think he complements C.J. Mosley enough. I think that the reason why I like Roquan Smith is because I think he'd be a good complement. He'd provide some speed on the inside and some better coverage, especially in the nickel situations. Next to Mosley, I don't like the other linebacker from Alabama, so I'm Roquan Smith if he gets down to 16. If he was there at 14, if I was the Ravens, I'd call to see what it would take to move a couple spots. But I'm DJ Moore. If DJ Moore isn't there, I'm taking the lineman McGlinchey from Notre Dame, and you can bookend him with Ronnie Stanley. And then there's no way Roquan Smith gets to 16.
Okay. That's your dream pick, I guess, right?
Yeah. I mean, my third pick would be Lamar Jackson because I think he's going to be there when the Ravens pick at 16.
Wow. So you would consider taking Lamar Jackson?
Yep.
Would you actually pull the trigger?
It depends on who's on the board. I think DJ Moore is a dynamic player, so I would take him. But yeah, okay. Lamar Jackson's a winner. He's won. He's played well. I mean, he wasn't on a great team there in Louisville, so I didn't expect him to be in the playoffs every year or anything like that. But it's going to be tough for the Ravens because it really is going to be determined by how the board lays out. But I think once we see it, I think the pick's going to be obvious.
Okay. All right. I'll go to
pick at 16. That much I will say. The Ravens are going to pick at 16.
They're going to pick at 16.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Vince, what you got? Ravens at 16. They're going to stay. Who are your top two choices you want there?
Well, so if Roquan Smith is available, he would be number one on this.
He's not going to make it there.
But he's not going to make it. So I'm still – my top three are Ridley, Moore, and McGlinchey. I'm right with you guys. I'm right with Al. I have Ridley first. I think, again, he's the most complete receiver in this draft. I think he is. I mean, his ceiling is Marvin Harrison, in my opinion. I think he has some similarities. I'm not. I mean, he's exactly what we need, a route runner who can separate and make plays after the catch. I mean, he would be the exact perfect complement for what we have right now. So he would definitely be number one for me. DJ Moore, again, similar. I mean, they get it done in different ways, but I think he's a similar type of receiver in terms of ceiling. I mean, I think you have to acknowledge these guys are not Julio Jones. I mean, but you're not bringing them in to be Julio Jones. You're bringing them in to be like what you would consider a great number two, but in reality, there's not 32 number ones. So, they end up being good number ones, but we don't want to call them that because every time we think of that, we think of Julio Jones and, those. So, to me, I think those are two going to be very good receivers in the league. So to me, they are worth a mid-first round pick. After those two, I'm with you guys on McGlinchey. I mean, I think he is a rock solid day one starter at right tackle, and you don't have to worry about your bookends potentially for the next 5 to 10 years. So, I mean, that's really enticing. But he might get pushed up the boards. I'd say you could probably take an interesting bet on him or Ridley being available. I think both, my fear is both of them are gone. And then, hopefully DJ Moore's still there. But those would be my three. After that, I'm not really loving anyone else, so I'm hoping we trade back if none of them are there.
All right. Let's put a little something out there. So if you had a defensive back sitting there, you would not consider a Jace Alexander, a Joshua Jackson at all?
No. Denzel Ward would be the only one I would take because he's just too good to be sitting there. But
okay. And if Jimmy Smith gets hurt a lot, so you wouldn't want another really solid defensive back to add in there.
We do have really solid defensive backs behind him, like Maurice Kennedy and Tavion Young and you know, you name
Tavon got hurt too.
And
down. I'm just tossing it out there. I'm just asking if you would consider it.
You can only have so much depth, but we have as much depth at the cornerback position as we've had ever. I mean, we picked up Brandon Carr's option. I mean, that said, I mean, Jalen Hill is another one I forgot to mention. I mean, there's just so many. I don't know how you could justify. We spent a first-round pick last year on Marlon Humphrey, which, you know, at the time, you know, we were all kind of lukewarm on. I mean, I saw it coming, but but turned out to be a hell of a pick. But to go back there, unless it's Denzel Ward.
Okay.
Because he's just too good.
All right, I'll go ahead and head over to Mr. Bill there. All right, so you're at 16. Here are your top two choices.
I'll preface what I'm about to say with the fact that I don't believe that Ridley or DJ Moore are going to be available at 16. Okay. I think two of the three picks in front of us, Washington, Green Bay, Arizona, two of those three will be receivers. So I don't believe that either one of those guys are going to get to us. So my top guy would be McGlinchey. I think I think he'd be a terrific right tackle, which is obviously where you would want to play him. But in the event that Ronnie Stanley went down, he would be a capable fill-in at left tackle. Yep. And I don't want James Hurst at tackle. I do not want James Hurst at tackle. So I don't know what that looks like. You know, they've talked about like when they signed Hurst to the deal for whatever $4.5 million or whatever it was. I said the day he signed it, I was like, oh well, they're definitely going to move Alex Lewis to right tackle. And then Harbaugh was on at the league meetings saying, oh no, yeah, we definitely like Alex Lewis at left guard, and we're going to have Hurst at tackle. I'm like, damn it. You know, so I don't want that to happen. So, McGlinchey would be my first choice, based upon the fact that I don't believe either Moore or Ridley would be there. If I had a choice of Moore or Ridley would be my pick. But yeah, I think McGlinchey is probably who we end up with.
All right, so let me throw something at you. Would you not consider a running back, or would you not even consider Colton Miller? The offensive tackle. You wouldn't consider Miller. You would not consider a running back here at 16.
Is Barkley available?
No.
Okay, then no.
Colton Miller looks like a bust to me. He's a left tackle only who is terrible technique. He's not for us. I mean, if I'm drafting a tackle, I want a right tackle. He is definitely not. He's not physical enough to be a right tackle. He's definitely wrong for us, and I think he's a bust.
All right. I guess for me, I like Lamar Jackson. I think if he was there, that's a great pick. But he's not going to be there. I think he goes higher, so I'm going to forget about it. I think you do consider taking a running back here. So Darius, the LSU running back, is there, or if the right offensive tackle is there, Mike. I think you go right offensive tackle. It's a safer pick. You're right. You can book in the ends. It helps the run game. It helps the quarterback. It helps our wide receiver. So I'm starting to think right offensive tackle is going to be what we take at 16. But the more exciting pick is Lamar Jackson.
I was extremely surprised that we did not pick up Austin Howard's option. I was very surprised at that because Ozzie does not like to head into the season with any kind of holes. And, I mean, they can say that they like James Hurst. Oh, he did so great in training camp. We just thought he was going to be so good at tackle when he had to fill in. But we've seen him play tackle, and he is not good at tackle. I was pleasantly surprised with him at guard because I was like, ooh, Hurst is terrible. But then he played all right at guard, but he's not a tackle. And so, yeah, I mean, I just think for Joe Flacco's sake, please get a right tackle.
All right. So let's take a look at guys on this team that we forgot about. So you got Tyrus Bowser, you got Tim Williams, you got Tim White, the wide receiver. Taylor Young's coming back, obviously. So with those guys kind of coming back, and let's say in the first round we go with a defensive player, how do you feel about this team going at first pick? If they go defensive player, I guess is what I'm trying to go with. How do you feel about that over an offensive player?
Well, here, let me throw this out there, because I think this is my worst nightmare. So, what do we do if there's no Ridley, DJ Moore, or McGlinchey, and we don't have any of the linebackers either? I mean, where do
and no one's calling?
Go from there,
and nobody's calling.
What's that?
Nobody wants to trade up to our position. You're right. So how about worst case scenario?
Well, if Lamar Jackson's there, that's not necessarily true, right? I mean, I think maybe somebody wants to move up a little bit ahead of Chargers or
maybe Belichick will call Ozzie and move up.
Yeah, that could happen. I could definitely see that.
See who moving up?
New England from 23.
Yeah. But who are they moving up for? Jackson? Are they moving up for a defensive player?
I think they'd move up for Lamar Jackson. I think the Patriots are going to pick Lamar Jackson in the first round.
Wow.
You gotta remember, I mean, Josh McDaniel is the one that architected that offense for Tim Tebow in Denver, and they won with it. And Tebow couldn't throw the football half as well as Lamar Jackson. And isn't as good of a runner either. I mean, Mike Vick has come out and said, hey, this guy's better than me. I mean, I just think with a creative mind like Josh McDaniel there in New England, he could be a great quarterback there. You can sit behind Tom Brady for a year or 2 years, learn the position, and then actually get a chance to play because Brady's going to retire soon, unlike everybody else.
All right.
Learn behind Brady and then go somewhere else like Jimmy G and get some big money.
Okay. Well,
yeah, I could definitely see that happening.
All right. So who are some second or third round picks you guys like, fourth round picks? Anyone deep in this draft that you like, that you think we should get? Now I'll start with Bill. We'll come back around. Anyone in this draft you really like, deep rounds?
Yeah, there's a few guys that I like. My two favorite receivers in the draft are Anthony Miller of Memphis and Michael Gallup of Colorado State. Those are the two guys I think could come in and really help us outside of the first round. Everybody talks about the first round, but there's going to be receivers taken in the second round that maybe perform as well or better than the guys that are taken early. So those two guys, I would be ecstatic to get either one of them in either the second or third round, depending on where it falls. Josie Jewell, the linebacker from Iowa, I think he's like, sort of, working class, blue collar type linebacker. Would be a decent complement next to Mosley. And the guy that I like him best at center, really. I mean, there's a number of guys at center that I would be happy with, but I think Mason Cole of Michigan is an underrated center prospect because he kept having to get bounced around because of injuries. They kept trying to put him at center, and then somebody would get hurt and he'd have to go back out to left tackle. So I like Mason Cole from Michigan. He's probably going to be available in round 4. I would be very happy to have him. Those are some guys that I like.
Yeah, let me just kind of come off that for a second. All those guys you just said I like a lot because you were texting me a lot about them, so I did look them up. So I agree. I guess I'll go deeper pick as well. I like Michael Gallup, the wide receiver. He's pretty good. I think the guy I really would like in second or third round, a little bit deeper, is probably Rashad Penny, the running back out of San Diego State. Yeah, I think this team needs a hammer. And if you can get a right offensive tackle in the first round and you go and you get a running back that's a hammer like that can just pound the football. Joe Flacco is the most successful when he has a run game and a tight end, to be honest with you. So they got to get a tight end around third, fourth round. But he's more successful when they can run the football. He's a pass action quarterback, to be honest with you. We have good enough wide receivers he can get the football to, he can catch it. But Rashad Penny, I think, adds a hammer to this team.
Penny also, in addition to that, he's a dynamic kick returner. So he adds that element as well.
Yeah, good call. All right, Al, what you got? Deeper guy. Deeper.
I mean, if you're talking about like second round deeper.
Second, third, fourth, whatever round you want.
I mean, if we're talking second round. I mean, Mike Hughes, the cornerback from UCF. I mean, I saw him go in some mocks in the first round here recently. He hasn't been a name that's been talked about. He hasn't been a name that's been talked about a lot because I think Ward, Minka Fitzpatrick, I forget the cornerback from Iowa. They've kind of dominated the original first round headlines at the cornerback spot. But Mike Hughes is a good cover corner on that undefeated UCF team. So he's somebody that's definitely probably going to go into the first round, but from the looks of it, he could sneak into he's going to go in the second round, I think, but he could sneak into the first round.
Josh Jackson is the quarterback from Iowa. Just
okay. Then from there, for me,
he's both.
Who's the running back from San Diego State? I don't necessarily like him. I think there's so many other better running backs ahead of him in this draft.
Give us another name. Nick Chubb down there in the second round.
I mean,
Sony Michel.
I think Sony Michel is the best running back in the draft. I mean, outside of Saquon Barkley, I think Michel is the next guy, and he could be just as good as Saquon Barkley in the NFL. I mean, he's a great athlete. I mean, runs with great burst, can run in between the tackles. I mean, Nick Chubb's good. I mean, Nick Chubb is good too. Guys, the kid from LSU is good. So you've got some good running backs. The running back from Auburn, and I forget his name. So you've got some good running backs in the draft this year.
What about Ronald Jones II?
He's going to be another second rounder. So you got a lot of running backs that could go in the second round. So you'll see the run on quarterbacks, I think, in the first round this year, and then you could see 3 or 4 running backs go in the second round this year too.
Let me kind of go back to a question for you. You said Mike Hughes, you liked him as a defensive back. Vince says we don't need any more defensive backs, but you say yes in the second round. Why?
I mean, I'm just talking about a sleeper pick. I don't think he's a sleeper pick for the Ravens.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're talking about the Ravens. You think you can?
Oh no, then I'm not taking a corner. The Ravens, no, I'm not. I wouldn't take a corner.
Okay, I was just asking because he's
the Ravens
saying yeah. So I'm sorry.
Second round, as long as I would take Sony Michel in the second round. I'd take a running back if I was the Ravens.
Well, we've seen him go in the first almost, but okay. So you're with me on the running back.
I don't think he's going in the first round, and there's no way the Ravens are drafting a running back in the first round. I think if they take a tackle and they don't see one of the wide receivers that they want in the first round, then a running back could be the next option for them, because I'm not sure at wide receiver who you take in the second round. I think maybe that's when you take a long look at Dez Bryant again.
Okay, Vince. Second round, third round, fourth round, fifth, whatever round you want. Deeper pick.
Yeah, so just I guess a few of the guys I like. If we're talking, well, if we don't get receiver in round 1, then I'm with you. I love Anthony Miller. I think he'd be a great second round receiver for us. I think he's probably my favorite in that range. I'm not a big DJ Shark fan, but I could see him with the speed. But I'd rather have definitely Anthony Miller. Offensive line, I think I like the kid out of Oregon. He what's his name? Hold on, I'm blanking on his name. But I think. The kid out of Pitt. Sorry, Brian O'Neill. Crosby's the left tackle, and I'm not a big fan of him. But Brian O'Neill, I think, could be a decent right tackle for us. And you can even, but hopefully we get, McGlinchey. Fred Warner's a coverage linebacker I like a lot. If we need a middle round coverage linebacker, I know we need to look for him. I agree on the center position. him or Billy Price, I think would make if you want to go a little earlier, Billy Price, I think's a nice center for us. I think he could start immediately if he's in the second round. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I like Billy Price. I like Billy Price for the Ravens too. I just don't think he makes it to the Ravens' second pick, depending upon
he
who
may
goes
not.
in the first round. One guy that hasn't been mentioned though that I think would be good for the Ravens is Orlando Brown Jr.
Yeah, actually, that's a good call.
Wow. So you think you want to take him after a terrible combine? It's just a combine. His tape is pretty good, but you would take him in the second round.
You gotta trust your eyes and what you see on the tape. I mean, if Vontaze Burfict didn't have all of the other shenanigans that he had, dirty plays, getting suspended, and things like that. I mean, look at his combine. His combine was horrible. I mean, that guy's a force on defense. So you can't.
Yeah, and bottom line is, I think he's. You can't really worry about the combine with Tim. Third round, I'd like a little better, but I think he can be a right tackle. You don't have to be that athletic. I mean, I think he could end up being a good right tackle. I would rather more in the third round. A couple tight end names I want to throw out are Ian Thomas from Indiana. I would love him as a third round pick. I think he was underutilized there at Indiana, and when you watch him, I mean, the kid can play. He can move too.
After
so
that
I think
Kansas
he's an
Ross pick,
underrated
I'm nobody from Indiana.
I know we're all burned by the Ross, but Mark. Yeah. But Mark Andrews is another one out of Oklahoma that I would look at tight end. And more again, second, third round. This is assuming we don't have Goddard available, who's probably first round, or Hayden Hurst. But we haven't really talked about tight end much yet. But
no,
I'd argue we have got to leave day 2 with the tight end. I mean, I don't see how we don't. When you look at the free agent list, I mean, and guys will get cut after the draft, but if you look at the trash heap tight ends that are out there right now, I mean, it is god awful. So I think more than anything else, we have to leave with a tight end we feel, decent about in the first 2 days.
Okay. I could agree with that. I don't know in the first 2 days, but let's do little bold predictions. Anybody bold? Yeah, go ahead.
Want to wait till round 4? I mean, why do we need to wait till round 4? Why?
Well, I was just making the statement. I don't know if we necessarily need to. You still have, is it Max Williams on the team? You still have Nick. You still have some tight ends. Now, yes, I know they're not great or anything. Just saying you still have some tight ends.
Got Darren Waller coming back.
I told you before, my evaluation of the Ravens, I would take Lamar Jackson because I think you need a quarterback upgrade. But
move Kamale Correa out the tight end. No problem.
That's rude. Okay, bold predictions. So we'll throw that around before the draft. Any bold predictions in this draft for us? You can say for any team, anything you want. So I guess I'll go with Vince first.
Bold
prediction. What do you think?
Both Joshes fall out of the top 10. Josh Rosen and Josh Allen.
You think both of them drop out of the top 10?
Yep, and I think
prediction, that's
I think bold. Miami and Buffalo can stay at 11 and 12 and pick them back to back.
Or the Cardinals can move up. Okay.
Yep.
All right, that's
you wanted bold. Good. There you go.
Yeah, that is bold. I mean,
if you look at
possible.
Really,
it's possible.
Go through the top 10. I mean, Cleveland is taking quarterback, and the Jets. Outside of that, you're needing either the Giants or Broncos to go quarterback,
right?
Or you're going to need a trade up. So if the Giants go Barkley too, and then you're looking, Jets take a quarterback, whoever they like.
Baker Mayfield.
Denver's your next breaking point. After that, I don't see another home for him. So
wow.
I think people are talking a lot like these quarterbacks are just going to go off the board immediately. But when you actually look at the needs of the top 10, there's a pretty good scenario where a couple of these guys fall.
Okay. That's a pretty good bold prediction. All right. Bill, what's your bold prediction here?
If we're going bold, the Baltimore Ravens select Lamar Jackson.
That's rude.
I think it's a big enough possibility to be bold.
That's a real bold statement. You're right, because that says a lot to Joe Flacco, right?
Says we're starting over.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, starting over. Maybe you're just getting better. Al, bold prediction.
Bold prediction. Josh Allen falls out in the first round.
What? What?
Bold prediction.
You don't think anybody would take him in the first round? I mean, I know it's your bold prediction, but you really think that's going to happen?
I wouldn't take him in the first.
Look, Cleveland's going to take Darnold, Rosen, Baker Mayfield with the first pick. The Jets are taking somebody. The Jets are going to take a quarterback. Denver doesn't necessarily need to take a quarterback, even though I think they should. But they may not take one in the first round. Buffalo's going to take a quarterback. There's a strong possibility Miami's probably going to take one too. But then when you get to Washington down, you got Washington, Green Bay. I mean, Arizona's probably going to take a quarterback, and they could. I think Arizona's going to take Mason Rudolph. That's going to be that might be your head scratcher in the first round. So I think, and then I think New England takes Lamar Jackson, or potentially, hopefully, maybe the Ravens take him. But I think New England takes Lamar Jackson, and then Tennessee, Atlanta, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Carolina, Cincinnati, Detroit, Dallas, Seattle, San Diego. None of those teams are taking quarterbacks.
You never know with San Diego. Phillip Rivers is 187 years old and hasn't won anything ever. So.
That is correct. You could see the Chargers make a move for a quarterback. See, what is my bold prediction? I think Mitch Fitzpatrick somehow drops to 16. I don't know how or why, but I got a weird feeling if he starts getting past 10, 11, he's going to come right down towards us. So Mitch Fitzpatrick would be my bold prediction that somehow he makes it to 16 and we get him.
I mean, that there's going to be something that's goofy that happens. There's a 100% guarantee there's going to be something goofy that happens. Now, I don't believe it's going to be a surprise pick every pick like Rob does, but somebody who
somebody's going to drop.
Like somebody who we're talking about is, there's no way that guy's going to get there, is going to get there because it happens every year.
Right.
So we'll see.
That's why I picked Fitzpatrick. I think there's a chance he might drop to 16.
Would you take him if you're the Ravens?
Yes.
What position would he play?
Eric Weddle is 33, 34. He can play safety. You can put him back in safety. He can play defensive back. He can play a lot of those positions. So I think
he would take the Anthony Levine role immediately as that dime linebacker.
Yeah.
Coverage guy, and then work them in outside and inside. I think we're going to end up rotating these corners this year anyway, like we have been, assuming they all stay healthy.
That's a big assumption. I mean, Jimmy Smith.
Yeah.
You cannot count on Jimmy Smith, period. So, I hope he stays healthy. I hope we get 12, 14 games out of him, but he will not play 16 games. He never has.
No.
Never will.
Well, we bought insurance this year. The insurance we bought was Brandon Carr's option. That's exactly the Jimmy Smith insurance that we bought.
Brandon Carr had a good year last year. I mean, you just can't leave him one-on-one with Antonio Brown.
Yeah. We found that out the hard way repeatedly.
Yeah, I mean, bottom line is you're not going to hold Marlon Humphrey back too much longer. I mean, I think he has the potential to be a top flight corner in this league.
Yeah.
He's only going to get better going from year 1 to year 2. Biggest jump for most players. Sky's the limit. I don't want Brandon Carr getting in his way. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, I mean, I think our defense is on the verge of being real nasty. With everything that's coming out of the Wink Martindale situation, with the coaches giving the players more ability to check out of stuff on the field and stuff like that. If we can land Roquan Smith, if Roquan Smith is the guy that slides down and we're able to get him at whatever, 12, 14, whatever it is, our defense is legit. Because, I think, I was surprised we didn't get more out of Timmy Williams last year. I liked everything I saw from Bowser. He looked a little bit lost at times and, assignments on the, coverage and things like that. But, we've got, Pierce and Williams in the middle, Suggs and Judon off the edge with Williams and Bowser behind him. Mosley is excellent. The cornerbacks are excellent. I do think that Weddle and Tony Jefferson are maybe not as advertised, when we signed those two guys to big contracts. Weddle's been a good leader, but he's not that terrific a player anymore. But the defense is nasty. And if we get Roquan Smith, it is over. But, so I'm not looking to spend that much capital on the defensive side.
Hang on 1 second. So if one of those guys, that's going to be my next question, was be a bold move up. If Edmonds or Smith starts dropping into the 9, 10, 11, 12 range, do you trade up to get them? And Bill, you already answered the question kind of, so it sounds like yes, you would trade up for one of those.
Smith is my preference. I recognize that Edmonds is like a freak athlete, but Smith is a legit football player. If Smith made it to 12, I would be on the phone trying to get him.
Okay. I'll go to Al. You move up for one of those two linebackers?
I'd only move up for Roquan Smith. I mean, that guy led one of the best defenses in college football. And I mean, to Vince's point, an off-ball linebacker that's, isn't really going to be necessarily a game changer for you, but they do quarterback the offense. You've got CJ Mosley there. I just feel like Roquan Smith is just fast sideline to sideline. He's dynamic. He can make plays. He's just that guy for me. And watching him play all season, I would trade up to get him. I wouldn't move too far, but if he's within 2 or 3 spots, I'd go get him.
Yeah, I mean, we gave a 6th round pick to move from 13 to 12 when we took Haloti Ngata. So if that 13 to 12 gives a 6th round pick, 16 to 12 is going to be maybe a 4th. If we're unlucky, a 5th, maybe. I don't know. But, we're not going to have to give up 1, 2, or 3, which in this draft is that's the big capital. So,
Well, just to throw out a devil's advocate based on the trade value chart.
Oh, no.
I mean, you're talking probably our borderline or definitely our 3rd round pick would have to be involved. To move up to 10, it's 300 points. Our 3rd round pick is 175, so that would have to be involved. So
I'm not moving up to 10. Once it gets to 12
13.
is when I start calling people.
12 you're talking, you'd have to probably even 12 is a 200 difference. So
see, I don't move up to 14. So if he's there at 14, then I'm ready to move.
The problem I have is I can't.
Bill Belichick was just talking to me the other day about how that trade chart is bullshit. Nobody is using that trade chart anymore. So I don't know what the trade chart says, but if a team can slide back a couple picks and pick up a 4th round pick for it, I think I don't know that you're not holding people over the fire to move from 16 to 13. You're holding people over the fire to move from 8 to 1. So
yeah,
right.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. I mean, as long as it's not a day 2 pick, then I'll talk.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not giving up 1, 2, or 3.
I cannot give up a day 2 pick to make a move up the board because they're too valuable in this draft in particular, and especially to move up for a linebacker, which isn't even it's a need, but you're talking now. You're going to need to definitely get at least a receiver or a tight end and an offensive lineman for sure. And if you don't have a day 2 pick, if you're down a day 2 pick, that's trouble. So to me, I'm not a big fan of moving up for pretty much anybody in this draft. It'd be a hard sell for me.
So if one of those guys, Vince, got for you to 12 or 13, you're not moving. You're staying at 16.
A 4th round pick maybe for Roquan. Okay, for Roquan specifically, I mean, I could see that, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind that, but I wonder how the fan base would react to that one, moving up for a defender.
I don't think that the Ravens would, and here's why. I mean, you've got Buffalo that's gonna at 12, that's probably either gonna pick there or try to move up. You've got the Redskins that need help on the defensive side of the football. They need a playmaker at running back. So I think you're gonna have to give the Redskins a lot to move up and get their pick. Green Bay needs a playmaker in the secondary. So they need some help on the defensive side of the football. And then Arizona, another team that's in the market for a quarterback. I don't think those teams are trading back. So I think the Ravens would have to give up a lot to move into one of those spots if Roquan Smith is there. And I think some of those teams would want to take Roquan Smith too. If I was Green Bay, I would take him. If I was Arizona, I would take him too.
Well, to get one of those guys, I think you got to go to 7. Probably is the highest you have to go. But if he did slide down, if Smith got somewhere around 10 or 11, I would give up a 4th round pick and go get him. Even a 3rd round pick, I would move up to go get him. I think you got to look at the team and say, how good is this team? If one guy can make this defense that much better, that much more aggressive, that much more lockdown, then I would go get that guy because that's a special player.
I can't agree. I would not give up a 1st, 2nd, or 3rd round pick. We have too many things. Like the question that you need to ask yourself is: would this team be better with Roquan Smith and almost nothing else on the first 3 days, or would they be better off picking 3 offensive players on the first 3 picks and picking Josie Jewell or another inside linebacker who's a nice player but definitely not Roquan Smith?
Well, hang on.
You can plug him in next to Mosley and come out of the first 3 rounds with offensive players.
Let me throw that back at you for a second. If I move up and I get him, I give up, let's say a 3rd round pick. My 2nd round pick is a tight end. And then my 4th, they do a good job of getting offensive linemen late in the draft. I mean, Ryan Jensen and the other guy were 5th and 6th round picks.
Yeah, that's great. But you have neglected to pick a wide receiver.
Well, hang on. Just listen to me. I said I took a tight end in the 2nd round, and if I wanted to get a wide receiver, I could get one in the 4th round. But that doesn't really matter. I have 3 guys I just signed. I'm going to have to rely on them, a tight end. And if I got a guy that can help make this defense better, I would probably move up and get the guy for the defense. But
yeah, but you can't rely on any of those wide receivers we signed.
I'm okay with it. I'm going to.
All right.
I don't like the quarterback position as much. I'd rather upgrade there first, but in this particular case, I can move.
They're going to draft. They're drafting a wide receiver within those first 3 picks. I mean, because they're going to be back in the same boat next year, where all of these deals are 1-year deals.
Yep.
So they got to have somebody that they can keep and say, okay, we've at least got somebody that we're bringing back. I mean, because they're not bringing back Perriman. I mean, Chris Moore ain't setting the world on fire. So
Tim White.
Come on, man. I think that there
wasn't bad at all.
Chance that we come out of the first 3 rounds without a wide receiver. I cannot see it. So, we've got nobody beyond this year. This year we got John Brown and Snead and Crabtree, but all 3 of those deals are structured so that the team can cut bait after 1 year if they need to.
If they want to,
I understand, Rob. I understand how the contracts work.
But let me throw. Yes, I hear you. Well,
here are the words specific from the next GM's mouth with the receivers. They've swung and missed on some, but they got to start taking more swings.
Yeah, second, third, fourth round. He said he liked wide receivers a lot.
Yeah, if they wait until the 5th round to take a wide receiver, that stadium is going to be half empty next year. Period.
That was my my next question. What do they need to do to get fans back? Because ticket sales have dropped. They said
just recognize that the league is an offensive league now. Like,
what does that mean? No, hang on. But I want you to explain what that means for a quarterback.
And probably not trade up for a linebacker.
So, well, hold on. Let me go back. If a quarterback who threw you 18 touchdowns is an offensive league, tell me how you're going to sell a fan on that. Why is wide receiver going to make him throw a 22? 23.
I'm not understanding what you're asking.
Okay, so Joe Flacco has been the worst quarterback in the last 3 years. 18 touchdown passes way through last year. Why is wide receiver going to make this team a better offensive team? That's my question to you. I'm a fan. You're telling me, Rob, if we go get this wide receiver, we're going to be so much better. Why?
That's
what I'm trying to sell me on that. You got to sell a fan base.
The faster a wide receiver gets open, the easier it is for the quarterback to get him the ball. If he's the first read and he's open when he looks, he gets to get the ball. And then on the next play, if he's open when he looks the first read, he's getting the ball again. So if you've got a guy that gets open every time, I mean, you don't think that whatever Antonio Brown or Julio Jones or AJ Green or whomever it is, anybody who is like a top end type wide receiver or really anybody who plays the role of the number one guy on teams, if you don't think that if you remove that player from the team, it's going to make the quarterback worse no matter what. I mean, obviously you've got outliers like Rodgers and Brady who can do damage without, with just a lineup of scrubs. But I think Big Ben too. But if you put, just look at the receiver roster that we've had on our team in like the last 3-4 years, and it is a garbage list at best. And so, if you surround Flacco with more talent, he will play better, in my opinion. If you protect him, if you give him players that can make plays on the ball, he will play better. Now, I'm not saying that Flacco is going to turn into Tom Brady because he's not, and that is just a fact of life for the Baltimore Ravens. But I'll say this, no matter who the quarterback is going forward, and we're stuck with Flacco for the next 2 years, and that's just the way it goes. But no matter who it is at quarterback in 2020, if we spend the next 2 drafts, 2018, 2019, and I'll include 2020 in that, if we spend the next three drafts, building a brick wall of an offensive line and getting 2, 3, 4 different players in the top few rounds at wide receiver and tight end, whomever that quarterback is in 2020 is going to play a lot better than if we just, we got Chris Moore as the number 2 and Joe Schmo, the Band-Aid as the number 1, 3 years from now. He will play a lot better if we've got a bunch of guys that came out of the first part of the draft.
Let me cut you off for 1 second for everybody else answers this real quickly. So in 2014, Joe Flacco had 27 passing touchdowns. His wide receivers were Steve Smith, Torrey Smith, Owen Daniels were the top guys.
Right.
So is it wide receiver? Because those 3 guys right there, 11 touchdowns, 6 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, that's the meat of them right there. He did better with a better rushing game. Justin Forsett ran it for 1,200 yards, 8 touchdowns. So that's what I'm asking. Is it the wide receivers? Because that wide receiver group is not great either. But he threw 27 touchdowns. Just what you know. You
don't think Steve Smith and Torrey Smith is better than Mike Wallace and Jeremy Maclin?
Yeah, I mean.
Okay, I'm going to let Vince answer now. Go ahead, Vince.
I've been quiet for a while because just you bringing up this topic, I know exactly where you want to go with this, with the Flacco conversation, and it's just we have the same conversation over and over.
Wide receiver.
But the bottom line is, of course, he will play better with better weapons around him. Not only does that just make sense, he's proven that he can play better when he has better weapons around him.
Go ahead.
Not to mention the fact that, I think nobody wants to hear it, but the back injury again was a significant factor to last year. But all that aside, we need to address weapons long term. I don't care how many receivers we sign. Willie Snead signing was great, but bottom line, we need weapons, young weapons to build around. I don't see how you don't leave with two minimally between your wide receiver, tight end, probably more like three. And you got to start shooting shots and hope you start hitting and building a nucleus that, regardless of where this whole Joe story ends, we'll have some weapons at that point that we can actually build around for the first time in Ravens history.
Well, let me kind of re-answer that question. So all I'm asking is it the wide receiver that would make this team better? I'll go back to 2012 when we won the Super Bowl. Torrey Smith, 855, Anquan Bolden, 921 yards. Dennis Pitta, 669 yards, and Jacoby Jones, 406 yards. So, again, is that wide receiver better?
We would be better because if we have better players. I mean, I don't understand what your point is here. I mean, we can say this about any position on the field. Now, at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, it's not going to – you need better quarterback play. We get it. But, I mean, you will have a better chance of getting better quarterback play if you have better weapons around him.
All right, well, hang on. Well, let me throw something else in there. Ray Rice ran for 1,100 yards, 9 touchdowns. So I'm asking, is it wide receiver that's the problem? Is it quarterback, or is it the run game? He seems to play better when there's a good run game.
So, okay, Rob. So
go ahead.
Look, when Alex Collins came in last year, I mean, he had a great season. He was a great addition at the running back spot for the Ravens. I mean, he had a lot of games where he ran well. But at this point in Joe's career, Joe needs to step up and make some of these other guys around him better. That's just what it is. We can say, hey, you got to go out and get some guys, but the unfortunate piece of it now is until the Ravens get better in these drafts, they're not going to be able to go out and get better guys, because then they've missed on so many guys. You got to continue to backfill spots. That's why we've got Eric Weddle. That's why we've got Tony Jefferson. That's why KO's on the Raiders, because you continue to miss on all of these draft picks. I mean, if Perriman hits and he's the number one receiver you thought he was going to be, Mike Wallace would have been great to stay here for another year to be a number two wide receiver. But they needed to revamp. Now they need to revamp the whole group. I don't think there's anything magical that you're going to put in here that's going to make Flacco be great. The players are going to have to make Flacco better. So they need guys that can take the ball and make a big play with it. That's what Flacco needs at this point in his career, to me, because he missed on deep balls last year. He misses on the intermediate stuff. He misses on some of the short stuff. He didn't go through all of his reads, so he's not missing. He's missing guys that are open from just a read perspective that he's not throwing the football to. So there's a lot in terms of what the Ravens need to do to make this a better team. For Flacco to be better, you can go all the way back to 2012. You can go back to the one season that you went to is the Gary Kubiak season. Yep. And that's why that team was better, because it was game planning. The game planning was better.
Was it game planning, or was it a better run game? Because they had a good run game that year.
Man, Rob, can you just cut out the shit and just be like, yeah, I want him to take a running back in 16. Darius Geis for the win. Championship, boys.
No, I think running back in the second round, possibly third round, is the better idea. I'm throwing that out there because when you see the years that he does better, there are certain things that you can tell, like tight end. He likes his tight end.
I don't think there's any doubt that having a running game that demands that 8 people be in the box will make the quarterback better. You're not telling us anything we don't know, man.
Okay.
We got running backs that can do the job. That's all.
I'm trying to ask you is, as a fan, sell me on you saying the wide receiver is a problem, get a wide receiver, attendance is down. So I'm trying to say is, if you get this wide receiver, is that going to bring attendance back?
No. If it's like, oh yeah, we picked Calvin Ridley in the first round, it's not like, I mean, I can't even say that because maybe I do think that the fans are going to show back up to see that. But
okay.
But I just think you are looking at like the running game, quote unquote, as like a silver bullet. Like we don't already have capable running backs on the roster. Like if you take Darius Geis at 16, I mean, is it a guarantee that guy is going to get more than 5.1 yards a carry that Alex Collins got? I don't think it is. I don't think that's a guarantee. I mean, is it a guarantee that like a running back stable of Alex Collins, Darius Geis, and Buck Allen is better than a running back stable of Alex Collins, Buck Allen, and Kenny Dixon? I'm not sure it is. Like, I mean, I think Darius Geis is a perfectly good player, but I thought Kenny Dixon was a stud. I thought he was going to go in the second round, and we got him in the fourth. So, like, I don't know, man. You keep saying, oh, he plays better with a running game. We have a running game. We had a Swiss cheese offensive line with like the walking wounded out there. Matt Skura playing right tackle and stuff. I mean, we have a running game. We have a running game.
Okay.
We have garbage at wide receiver. Even with all the changes that we've made, I mean, we got nothing. Like you got to have at some point you got to add talent to that room.
Okay. Well, I guess my question was trying to get towards what do you think if fans back in the seats? I'm going to say a playmaker. This team needs a hero, and there's no hero. I'm going to finish mine first here, sir. There's no hero on this team. They need someone to be a hero and get this team and get the fans excited. That's why I like Lamar Jackson. That's why he'll be the pick at 16. It's bold. It's going to happen. Go ahead,
Rob. The only thing that's going to get fans back in the seats is you've got to win. They've got to transform that offense and turn it into a winning offense. It's got to be something that fans want to come down there and see. Like I'm tired of the snooze.
Amazing.
Like score some touchdowns on offense, and if you win and it's an exciting product to come out and watch, fans will be there. But I'm not coming down there to watch Justin Tucker kick field goals. I can do that at home.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like I mean the games. I mean on offense especially. I mean we did blow some leads on defense and stuff like that. But on offense, it is unwatchable. Watching Flacco try to grind it out on his leather ass every week, it just makes me crazy. And so like can we just move the ball? Like, I mean, we don't need to go up and down the field like the Packers do with Rodgers and Nelson and Cobb and all, we don't need to like air it out and be scoring 45 points a game to get people back in the seats, but just show that you're capable of anything offensively.
Okay, go ahead, Vince. Make your
these are my favorite topics. So that's why I'm so loud about it. I mean, at the end of the day, winning cures all of this. But look, I do agree to an extent. We need to be more dynamic on offense. I mean, there's just no two ways around it. And it starts with having playmakers, guys who can make plays with the ball in their hands, make plays that aren't there, do more than what the route allows based on the coverage. Be dynamic. And we don't have that right now. And that is what this team is missing and has been missing for years. And it's going to come through the draft. You can bargain basement shop all you want, and hell, I mean, for all the flack that Ozzie should get, deservedly so for him not drafting a wide receiver. I mean, he's done a hell of a job searching through the trash heap over the years, to address it, but enough is enough with that approach. I mean, you have got to start drafting more playmakers and hitting on these guys. And to the DaCosta quote from a while ago, you have to fire more bullets. That's the only way you're going to start hitting more is if you start firing more bullets. And, that's what ultimately will take care of a lot of these problems, including, whatever the fan issue is at this point.
So you think do what the Lions did and take a wide receiver every year in a draft?
I'm not saying every year in the first round, Robert. No, but overall,
I think you need a playmaker
in the draft. I mean, I think it's proven at this point that there are plenty of playmakers that get drafted later. I mean, I don't have to run through the laundry list of examples. Antonio Brown, you name it. I mean, but you just have to start firing more bullets, and you have to start hitting. And it has to happen now. If it doesn't happen now, then this organization is going to head in the wrong direction and gonna fall behind where the league is going.
All right, so that's what I was trying to get to. Is this team needs a hero, needs a playmaker. Ray Lewis was this team's face. That this team has no franchise. Joe Flacco was supposed to be it. He didn't do the job. But you drafted Lamar Jackson. You're going to get an exciting playmaker. He's going to get the fans back in the seats. He's going to sell jerseys. That is why you need Lamar Jackson. Go ahead. Shake your head and say no, but
I don't think – I mean, like selling jerseys is so far down the list of things that I care about coming out of the draft. I could not – I mean, if you want to sell some jerseys, let's sign Tim Tebow as our backup, man. I'm just saying, like, we don't need to sell jerseys. We need somebody competent at the wide receiver position long term. A guy who went in 4 years, we're not talking about like laughing at the fact that are the Ravens going to pick up Rashad Perriman's 5th-year option? I'm just like laughing out loud at the fact that they're going to pay him $9.5 million. Like, I mean, we have to have a guy that in 4 years we're like, hell yeah, we're going to pick up his option. In fact, we're going to try to sign him long term. Like, we have to start getting guys like they don't. I mean, you're talking about we need to face the franchise Ray Lewis type of guy. That guy doesn't exist, man. Ray Lewis is like a once-in-a-generation type player. Yeah. And like the best player on the field by far and the best leader in the history of the game maybe. Like that's a you're not getting that guy just, we got to get our Ray Lewis this year. Yeah, that'd be great, Okay.
But, are you sure about that? Are you sure about that? Because, you look at the Texans, you got Deshaun Watson – you got J.J. Watt.
I told you.
You got Javon County.
I told you, man. I've got a picture of Baker Mayfield in my hope chest.
So let me rewind just for a second here. So if Baker Mayfield somehow made it to 16, you'd be thrilled to take Baker Mayfield.
Hell yeah.
All right, that's fine to hear. Okay, Vince.
Yeah, I'm taking it.
Baker Mayfield makes it to 16. Are you thrilled to take him at 16?
Of course. He's my number one quarterback.
Okay.
I mean, that's not even a decision.
Okay, but, Al. Let me ask Al.
I mean, he's not my top guy to take, but it depends.
Who's your top guy? Is it Josh Allen?
It depends on who's on. It depends on who's on the board for the Ravens. I mean, I'm still stuck at this receiver piece because I feel like the Ravens have to Vince's point, the Ravens have to at least draft 2 wide receivers in this draft, and you got to take some swings early. Because if you go back over the Ravens draft history, we drafted in 2008. We drafted 2 wide receivers. Would you like to know who they were?
No, because they're not on that team.
Marcus Smith and Justin Harper.
Oh yeah.
2009, we did not draft a wide receiver. 2010, we drafted a receiver in the 5th round. Who was that wide receiver? David Reed.
Yeah.
Oh, David Reed. I remember that guy.
2011, they finally drafted somebody early, Torrey Smith, and he had an impact on the team, part of the Super Bowl roster. Did not draft a receiver in 2012 until the 6th round, and they drafted Rob's guy here, Tommy Streeter.
Tommy Streeter!
That was
He's on the street. He's on the street.
Then 2013, they drafted a wide receiver in the 7th round, Aaron Millette. Never made the team.
He wasn't all that bad. He played for Tampa.
2014, they drafted a wide receiver in the 7th round again. Who was that? Michael Campanera.
He just signed with the Colts.
Not only that, we traded the next year's 6th round pick to go get him in the 7th round.
Yeah. Hey, actually, that's probably one of the better values we've gotten. We've gotten a little something.
See, there you go. All right.
We squeezed a little bit out of that.
So finally, after that 5-6 years of nothingness, they pressed themselves into a box and they reached for a receiver that couldn't catch the football. They knew he couldn't catch the football in the 1st round, and they convinced themselves that we can teach this guy how to catch at a professional level, and they took Brashad Perriman. Terrible pick. They did take Darren Waller in the 6th round of that draft, too, that's now a tight end.
Who has done nothing.
2016, they took one wide receiver. That wide receiver was Chris Moore. They did take Keenan Reynolds in that draft, but I don't classify him as a receiver at the time. Last year, they did not take a receiver in the draft.
No.
They took a bunch of defensive players and a couple of guards. So to the point, I think what's going to change it is take some chances to bring a dynamic playmaker in here at wide receiver. And that's the only reason why I don't necessarily like the Baker Mayfield pick. I think it would be a great pick. He could come in, he could learn behind Flacco, and it probably would be the right pick at 16 if he's there. He's the best deep ball thrower in the draft. This guy went out and won this year, so he's got a lot of good things going for him. But I just want to see the Ravens draft 2 wide receivers in the first 4 rounds.
Yeah.
This year.
Well, let me go back to all of you just for a second, because 2 of you said you would take Baker Mayfield. So obviously you're acknowledging there's a quarterback problem. Just want to throw that out there.
No, not at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. You
that is purely best player available for me.
That's
best player available for me. That is not acknowledging anything about need.
Okay, sure.
I do think we have a quarterback problem. I think that Flacco he's on autopilot most of the time. He is a middle of the road guy who can get hot at the right time, which is great. And he plays his best ball in the biggest moments, which I do like. But yeah, if we're talking about being on the hook for the $30 million that he's owed in 2020, fuck that guy. That's all I'm saying. I agree 100% with Al. We saw it when they double dipped with Ed Dickson and Dennis Pitta back to back in the 3rd and 4th. I would love to see them double dip in the 2nd, 3rd. I think in the 1st round, if we can get McGlinchey, that solidifies the entirety of the offensive line. No matter who ends up at center, if we can get a legit right tackle, that solidifies the rest of the line. And then in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, I'm looking at wide out and tight end the whole way.
Okay.
I don't mind that.
I do mind that, and I would rather take a playmaking quarterback. I'd rather have Lamar Jackson.
Well, you got to get that running back in there, man. You got to get that running back.
Let me tell you something. If you want Lamar Jackson running back and then one wide receiver tight end, I'd be thrilled because this team is going to make the playoffs with Lamar Jackson. Speaking
Lamar
of that,
Jackson's not going to play like that.
Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. They are not going to install Jackson over Flacco in year 1. You are out of your mind if you think that's
true. You're crazy, Rob. No way.
They're going to do that.
Oh yeah, Lamar Jackson and Darius Geis were going to the championship, boys.
This is why I'm sitting here. Well, Rashad Penny actually, but
this is why you live on Fantasy Island and nobody takes you seriously.
I'm okay with that because living on my Fantasy Island, you will soon be on it too because this team is sucking.
Talk all day about what pipe dream scenario you want to give, or you can base this in reality and acknowledge that.
I always tell you the answer is April 26th. If he happens to be there,
you're take a backup quarterback and a backup running back with the first 2 picks.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I know what I'm talking about. Anyways, I guess we'll start wrapping this thing up. So, any final thoughts you want to say about this team? They just give you a heads up. The over under for us is 8 wins this year. So the Ravens beat that 8.5 wins the last 4 out of 5 years. They've done better than the actual odds. So 8 wins is this year. Are we over those 8 wins? What gets us to the playoffs? So I'll start with Al. Are we over 8 wins on those odds? What gets us to the playoffs?
I mean, at this point, the draft gets us to the playoffs. I mean, you gotta add players. I mean, the coaching staff is in place, and it is what it is. So now they've got to add. It's clear they've got to add playmakers in the pass catching area. I don't know what Kenneth Dixon's going to be when he comes back, but I'm willing to take the chance to find out versus trying to draft a running back in the first or second round.
Let me stop you there just for a second. Let me just interject a second. John Harbaugh's on the hot seat, right? So are you sure you want to take that risk of not getting a running back in the first 4 rounds?
Yeah, because Harbaugh's on the hot seat.
Okay.
The league plays to wide receivers now. So go get some. I mean, they're probably going to cut Rashad Perriman. So you've got 3 wide receivers that probably are going to make this team, and potentially the 4th in Chris Moore. So go get 2 more. I mean, get a DJ Moore if he's there, and find somebody else in the 3rd round, in the 4th round. You've got to get a tight end. So if they get a tight end in the 3rd round, I'm okay if they wait until late in the draft to get another wide receiver just to see what he's got. But I think those things are going to help, and I do think they've got to find somebody to put next to C.J. Mosley. It can't be Peanut Onwasu, or it can't be Kamale Correa. Like, cut bait on Correa. Like, cut this guy this year, and try to find an inside linebacker that can come in and that can complement C.J. Mosley. The other pieces they need to find are some D tackles that can play on the other side of the football. Finally,
wow, you got a long list there.
So, because you do, you got to. I mean, there's a lot that the Ravens need. I mean, if you think they're going to get the 8 wins and trot the same thing they did out there last year, I'm sorry, it's not going to happen, because I don't think that we're going to face every team with a backup quarterback this year. Okay. So I think next year is going to be a tougher year for the Ravens, and you've got a lot of holes to fill. So, in short, to recap, you got to draft some pass catchers, tight end, receiver. You got to at least hit on one of them.
Okay, you're on all offense. You're on the hot seat. You just want as many offensive options as you can. Is that what you're saying?
You need a tackle or a center. I think what they're going to do, I think they're going to give James Hurst every chance to start at right tackle. So I'll say you've got to get a center. So you've got to get a center at least in the second round, or an interior lineman that can play center for you. So you need to add a piece on the offensive line, get some pass catchers, and then find some guys that can fill in on the defensive side of the football and make some plays for them.
All right. I'm going to go Bill next. I'll let you. Over 8 wins, under, what do you need to get there to the playoffs? You're in a hot seat. You're John Harbaugh. What do you got to do?
I definitely think we're over 8 wins. I mean, I think that, even we were unwatchable on offense last year, and we went 9-7, and we're within, one blown play by the defense away from being in the playoffs. So, yeah, I think, I mean, I don't want to jinx myself by saying this, but I just can't imagine us coming out of the first 4 rounds of this draft without 3 offensive players. I think 3 of the first 4 will be on offense, really, no matter what happens. And so, from my perspective, right tackle is the biggest need. I am reasonably comfortable starting Skura or Hurst or Alex Lewis at center. I mean, Alex Lewis's dad played center for like 10 years in the league. So, it's not like that guy never learned how to snap, so, I mean, I'm more willing to roll the dice at the center position than I am the tackle position. So if McGlinchey is there at 16, it would be hard for me, unless there's another higher quality player available to us. It would be hard for me to pass on him. But yeah, I mean, I think, we need to double dip at wide receiver, and we need to come out of this draft with one of the top 4 tight ends, whether that be Gesicki or Andrews or Goddard or Hurst. We have to get one of those 4 guys, in my opinion. So if that means the second round pick, if it means a trade back to the late 20s, early 30s, and we pick him at the first pick, and that's fine. I would not want a tight end at 16, but Ozzie knows a lot more about tight ends than I do. So if he has a guy that he thinks is a top tier target, I'd be happy to have him at the end of the first, beginning of the second. I just think we have got to get pass catchers. I'm not looking for a backup quarterback. I'm not looking for a backup running back. Even having said that, I would happily take Baker Mayfield at 16.
All right. I'm going to go next. So I think I think they got to get another wide receiver, a tight end they have to get one of those 2 positions in round 2 and 3. I think the first round you should go best player available. I think they should go either after a pass rusher. If some guy comes down as a good pass rusher, you always take a pass rusher. You can't have too many of those guys. I really prefer for us to get a good linebacker, so I can see them trade back. Maybe get Evans, actually. Put him on the inside. That would help us out a little bit more on the defensive side. So I think most of us are going to agree, trade back, get a few more picks. Let's go get 2 more wide receivers, a tight end, some offensive linemen. Basically, you're going almost all offense. But I think with that first-round pick, they could come back in this draft. They could get a linebacker. Evans is down there. Or I know you don't like this, but maybe a Connor Williams, offensive tackle, possibly a little bit back, or even a center in the end of the first round. They can trade back, pick up some second, third round picks. So I'll go over 8 wins if they kind of nail it in 3 positions. I think you're right. One's got to be tight end. They have got to get a good tight end. I think 2, they have got to get offensive linemen because you can't do anything with the offensive linemen. And I think 3, I think they got to get a middle linebacker to help out over there. And I think they can get over 8 wins. I think that's a possibility getting to 10 and 6 this year. Go ahead, Vince.
Yeah, so priorities for me, I think you got to come out of this draft with, at least 1 or 2 wide receivers. Again, you got to fire some shots. Ridley or Moore would be the only ones I would deal with in round 1. Outside of that, I think the receiver position has some nice depth in the middle round. So, I definitely don't mind if we pass on receiver in round 1, but that means we have to address it in day 2 at least once. So that's the plan. Receiver, definitely need a tight end. Again, I think you're going to need to get one by the time day 2 ends. It's another one though that I don't really see addressing in round 1, so it's another kind of day 2 pick for me, and I think there's a lot of good options there. But you might have to do some moving around. So, I don't think we're ever afraid of moving around, but might need to for tight end. And then, O-line, I think bottom line is I'm okay with one of those positions being up in the air heading into training camp. We have a history of bringing in veteran linemen that can help. So, to me, I'm a little more flexible there. I mean, if McGlinchey's there, great. If we can get one of these centers, great. If we end up missing on linemen, I can live with that. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think we can address it in the second wave of free agency or training camp. I think, I'm a little higher on Hurst as right tackle than most. I think right tackle, I don't mind giving him at least an initial look. So, I think I think we can hunt for value at receiver.
Okay. I would agree. All right. Well, I guess that wraps up. Does anybody else have anything else they want to add? This is just before the draft. Is there anything you want to say about this team before we go?
Yeah, the Ravens just gotta get some playmakers so they can get back to the playoffs and get the fans interested again.
All right, gotta get playmakers. All right, I think that's the word they're getting there is get playmakers on the offensive side of the football. Last one, I'll toss out real quick. If they want wide receiver, would you guys be cool with that first 3 rounds?
No, I wouldn't.
I got one yes, Al's no, Vince. He left because he cussed. All right. Well, I guess we'll do this after the draft because then in reality we'll be here. So then we'll do a draft recap and we'll call it that. All right.
All right, cool. Good night, gentlemen.
Well, thank you guys. Happy draft week. Enjoy the draft, man. And Bill, are you still coming out here, right?
Yeah, I show up Wednesday night late. I'll be at your house Thursday before draft time.
Cool. All right.
All right, gentlemen.
Talk to you.
Have a good one. Bye.